Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Cross-posted from r/confession. I let my little brother take the fall for something I did, and it messed him up way more than I ever expected. So when I was 17, I was stealing cash from my mom's purse. Not huge amounts, but enough that she noticed. I was trying way too hard to fit in with older kids and wasting money on dumb stuff for people who did not care about me anyway. My little brother was 13 and always seemed nervous, like he expected to get blamed for things. One night, my mom realized more money was gone and started questioning both of us. I knew I should admit it, but before I said anything, she focused on him because he was acting weird. He started crying and saying he did not do it. And I just stood there and let it happen. I barely even had to lie. My mom grounded him, took his console, canceled a school trip, and kept saying she was more upset that he was lying than stealing. After a while, he stopped defending himself and just went quiet. I kept telling myself I would confess later, but I never did. I'm 29 now, and we're civil but not close. A couple years ago, he brought it up while we were drinking and said that was the moment he realized nobody in the house was ever going to believe him over me. So after that, he stopped trying. He was right. My mom still thinks he did it, and I think it permanently changed how she sees him. I did that. Now I keep thinking about confessing, but it feels gross because it seems like I would just be doing it to dump my guilt on everyone else after all these years. I know I earned the guilt. Guilt isn't a punishment, man. The guilt that I've been feeling all these years, yeah, I earned that. I really should confess, but it just feels gross. But, I mean, I know I earned the guilt, guys. Hey, here's a fucking idea. Actually confess, even if it is a decade later. Your entire family probably fucked up a lot of how your little brother sees himself, and his ability to actually navigate the real world because he existed in an area where no one would believe him. The target was always on him, and he knew that while growing up, it's better just to stay silent and let you get away with it, as you always will. Your mom also fucking sucks, by the way, big time. You mentioned your little brother always seemed nervous, like he expected to get blamed for things. I wonder why. But on top of that, your mom should have known that was just his behavior, how he acts. But apparently she couldn't be bothered to take that into account while blaming him for something he didn't do, and, by your own admission, holding it over his head, even to now. You need to confess, man, because it sounds like you ruined your little brother's relationship with the entire family. And you just don't want to do anything because it might just make things gross or messy. But hey, you earned the guilt, apparently. You know what your brother earned? Not being able to actually enjoy being around the family because the target's always on him. Think about someone other than yourself, man. Come on. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole? Relationships. Am I the asshole for purposely leaving my wife at home with the kids? My 37 male, wife, 33 female, and I have been together for 10 years. We have 2 young kids. We're very different people, and the concept of opposites attract could not be more true for us. I love my wife, but every time that we argue, we can never seem to find a resolution. Our most recent fight has me feeling very lost. Basically, my wife works from home all week and also takes care of the kids. I work outside of our home during the week, so when the weekend comes, I just want to stay home and relax or work on house projects. My wife, on the other hand, always wants to go out and do things as a family with our 2 kids. Last weekend, we got into a big argument because I did not want to go out, but my wife did. Eventually, she went upstairs with the kids so that I could work on some stuff, but in actuality, I ended up leaving the house to blow off some steam. Hours later, she checked my location and caught on that I had left her at the house. Apparently, the whole time she thought that I was in the house working on home projects while she watched the kids upstairs. She says that what I did was spiteful, but I disagree. I was not trying to be spiteful, and I don't see anything malicious about me having gone out without her. I just wanted a sanity break. We have not been speaking in a week, and we're sleeping in separate bedrooms. I don't get why she's so upset, and talking only leads to more arguing. She keeps going back to saying that I was being spiteful, and I don't know how to make her understand that I wasn't. Is she being unreasonable, or am I the asshole? Was that tone infuriating enough for you guys, just out of curiosity? Let's see here. Wife, who is pretty much going stir-crazy watching the kids and working from home, wants to go out and do something. You say, no, I want to do house projects. I don't want to leave the house. She says fine and goes upstairs to watch the kids. Then, I gotta go blow off steam. I'm gonna go and leave the house for a bit while you watch the kids. You don't see how that could come off as being spiteful? You don't see how that could be seen as an issue? You don't see how that's unfair? Come on, man. Come on. When does your wife get a blow off steam? When does your wife get a, let's see, how did you put it here? Sanity break. When does your wife get those things, out of curiosity? And if this is somehow genuinely you do not comprehend what you did wrong, think about it from her perspective. Think about how it would feel to voice that you really want to go out and do something that's not in the house. Then being told no, then the person who told you no goes and does something outside of the house. Hope that helps why your wife might see it as being spiteful. And everyone else. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my wife she's not allowed to forget? Background. I, male 31, and my wife, female 30, have a toddler. We both work from home. My wife had 2 cats before we met. They're both 10 plus years old. I have OCD and really dislike them. I work in the basement while my wife works upstairs. The basement is where the cat items are. One of the cats puked in the basement shortly before lunchtime. My wife only gets 30 minutes for lunch and likes to spend time with our child during that time. When she came down for lunch at 12, I told her that the cat got sick in the basement. She said that she would clean it up later. At 12:57, I texted her, asking if she had taken care of the puke. She said that she completely forgot but would take care of it after her meeting at 1. She came down at 1:30 to clean it up, and we started talking about it. She said that she made a mistake and forgot about it. Then I said she wasn't allowed to forget. She got mad at me, and we had an argument about it. She said that what I said was controlling, and that I said she's not allowed to make mistakes. I argue that what I said was reasonable, and that most people would assume that I meant that she wasn't allowed to forget about the cat vomit. I obviously didn't mean that she shouldn't forget about anything at all, only cat vomit. Am I the asshole for what I said? Hey buddy, we understood what you meant. You're still the asshole. Not a damn person, probably including your wife, thought that you meant you're not allowed to forget anything ever. We all understood that you meant she's not allowed to forget the cat vomit. We got that. What I don't get is why don't you clean it up? It sounds like you let the cat vomit sit there where you work for 2 hours because you were waiting for your wife to clean it up for you. I get that you really dislike the cats and see them as your wife's responsibility and that you have OCD. OCD, which might genuinely hamper your ability to clean cat vomit. But even with having OCD, or any disability for that matter, it doesn't give you carte blanche to treat people poorly, and your symptoms and behavior are still your responsibility to manage. And with that, you couldn't give your wife just a little bit of leeway? Especially with everything on her plate, and that apparently now she wasn't allowed to forget about the cat vomit? Like during her lunch break, she's spending time with your child. Let's see, she's juggling her job, juggling the toddler, juggling making meals, and juggling cat vomit. And what are you doing? Keeping score on the cat vomit. It does feel like you are just looking for reasons to be mad at your wife. Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for giving my oldest child the smallest bedroom 20 years ago? At the time of this incident, I, 50 female, was 32. My oldest, Sam, was female 12. First marriage. Middle, April, female 6, and youngest, Darren, male 4, second. We moved into a house with 4 bedrooms. Upstairs, large master and medium-ish bedroom, main level, large and small bedroom. The small bedroom was in the back corner of the house, and since April had a quiet voice, we wanted her where we could hear her easily. Sam didn't want the small bedroom. It was quite small, and thought this was unfair as she was much older, so we compromised by turning the small bedroom into an office. The girls shared a room. April was easily heard, and Sam was only with me on weekends, so it didn't even make sense for her to take up a whole room all the time. Sam was unhappy with this arrangement from the get-go. It didn't help that she kept butting heads with her sister. April would push buttons, Sam would react, and it would turn into a sobbing mess. April, being 6, would also sometimes make kid mistakes like doodling in Sam's books, and this would cause Sam to melt down even when I tried to fix it. Sam complained that April had a larger bed than her. We got a bunk bed for the room, and April was safer on the bottom bunk as she could have fallen out of the top, so Sam had the top bunk, which was smaller than the bottom. Also, again, she was only there on weekends. I explained the reasons over and over again. She wasn't here enough to warrant taking away my office, and I needed to be able to hear April. I told her if she spoke to her dad and started living with me during the week, we could turn the office into a bedroom. She agreed after many of these discussions and came to live with me. She got the small room and boom, angry again. She expected the big room. She never told me, but I learned she was also angry as her, very high-quality, mattress sat on the floor for a while. It was a very good mattress and a frame would have taken up valuable space. She stayed with me for about 2 years before going back to her dad's pretty much full-time. No matter what I did, she wasn't happy. I haven't heard from her in a couple of years. We had a big fight. She wouldn't tell me why she was so cold with me all the time. Then she stopped talking to me. I found an old journal she'd forgotten at my house a few years back, and I hadn't read it, but very recently I missed her so much, so I did. There was a lot, mostly rants and notes and some journal-type stuff. She wrote a rant about how I'd used a bedroom to manipulate her into living with me, how awful it was, and how it felt like a prison cell with just a chunk of foam on the floor to lie on and a little desk in the corner. She makes it sound like I tortured her with an expensive mattress in her own room, which I didn't even need to give her. Lots of siblings have to share rooms for years. I'm close to the limit, so I guess now I just need to ask, am I the asshole? Did I go too far in not giving her the room she wanted? Yeah, so Sam didn't want the smallest bedroom, so she just didn't get a bedroom at all. And she wasn't happy about that, so then she got the smallest bedroom, without a bed frame. And she wasn't happy about that. A bed frame makes a major difference on how a mattress feels, by the way. Plus, you get under bed storage, which, doesn't remove from the amount of space in the room, it actually adds to it. There's also a ton of missing reasons here, because out of the entire journal, you just focused on the whole bed and room situation here, and definitely seem to have the most gripes with that. I mean, to me, it just sounds like you never really made her a priority or never made her feel welcomed. I mean, you made a teenager who's going through puberty share a room with a kindergartner whose actions were just simply chalked off as, oh, well, she's 6, what are you gonna do? And it's obvious that these grievances, as well as probably many that aren't even listed here, were enough to cause your daughter not to want or have any interest in having contact with you. And what's your response? I'm gonna go to Reddit and see if I'm the asshole here and try to prove myself right and justify my actions. After all, it was a very high-quality mattress that I put on the floor for her, not just a block of foam like she claims. And judging by that response alone, I'm willing to actually bet money that she did, actually, numerous times, try to tell you why she was being cold with you, or tried to explain her emotions, but instead it was probably it wasn't that bad, or it's not a block of foam, it's a really high-quality mattress, actually. April's only 6, she's gonna make little kid mistakes like doodling in your books. Why are you melting down? I tried to fix it. You don't understand. April, who is half of your size, needs the bigger bed because she might fall off the top bunk. Makes me wonder what else was going on, or what else was being neglected while Sam was under your care. Posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for convincing people to quit my friend's play and saying it's a bad idea? My friend Leanna is 17 female. She's recently been really mentally ill. She was in a mental hospital for a week. Once she came out of the hospital, she barely spoke to anyone for like a month. One day, suddenly, she became really hyper, I'll describe it. She was talking to everyone, really extroverted. She wrote a play. and suddenly decided to put it on. I, 20 female, and our other friend Matt, 18 male, thought it was a bad idea. As important context there in the UK, there'll be a comment explaining this more later. Our other friends thought it was good though, and one of their friends happened to own a venue she could do it at. And she cast our friends in the play. And she was saying whatever profits she'll make, she'll split it with everyone. Matt and I told her this is a terrible idea. She's not mentally stable enough, and promising them money is crazy. She's not good at maths, and she's not in the headspace. She laughed and said Matt's good at maths, he can be her money manager. He said no way. She and our friends started to do the play, and she told us one day how depressed she was again. I told her that she's too busy, she should cancel the play. She said she likes the play, and she's already sold tickets. Matt and I were worried. We said to our friends doing our play, Tallulah, 16 female, Sophie, 18 female, and Bethany, 19 female, about how terrible the play idea is because she's depressed lately. Sophie quit the play. Tallulah was going but felt bad. Leanna was upset because she didn't have enough people to do it now. Bethany told her the reason Sophie quit the play was because Matt and I told her to. Leanna confronted us, saying if we don't like the play, fine. She won't talk to us about the play, so just forget about it. Me and Matt decided to just leave it. Until she posted an advertisement for the play saying that a local drag queen will be in it. Matt and I made a group chat with her asking about this. She said she met him at a sketch night and told him about the play, and he said he would watch. They saw each other again at a drag bar, and he asked her how the play was coming along, and she told him she might have to cancel. He apparently jokingly said about how he'd go in drag and play the part, and they both actually loved that idea. I said that's sweet, but it was bad enough with just friends. Now bringing a local celebrity into it? This could end really badly. And Matt asked if he's not concerned at all about the play. Leanna said he's in fine with it, and she's letting him promote his drag show, so there's no problem. I said it's a problem, because she's taking on more than she can chew, and if it ends badly, it won't just hurt her friends, it could get the public talking about it since the drag queen is a big name. She then left the group chat and won't talk to us. We talked to Bethany about it, and she said that we need to be more supportive, and the play is coming along great, and it's just a bit of fun. I again said that when it's got money involved, it's more than just a bit of fun. And Bethany said for us to just leave Leanna alone and mind our business. You're a bad friend. Like, your friend comes out of a severe depressive episode they had to be potentially institutionalized for, and they find something that actually gives them a bit of spark in their life and they're actually excited about, and it's giving them a drive and giving them something to look forward to, and your response is to shut it down? Like, you could have been supportive and helped turn that spark into a raging fire that actually allowed them to grow and help them actually fulfill themselves, but no. Instead, you're pouring cold water on the smallest bit of embers that might actually help your friend be happy. Comment thread from one negative person. 1, this doesn't sound real. 2, you're 20 and have a 16-year-old friend. 3, you have a friend with bipolar disorder, so severe she was hospitalized for it. Now you're discouraging mutual friends from participating in her creative endeavors. A harmless one, by the way? Yeah, you're the asshole. Shy1953 comments in response. I agree, I could see clearly now. The OP responds, it's real. I go to college with them, which starts at 16 plus here in the UK. It's normal here. Having a passion like this is harmless, of course, but it's the wrong time to be putting on a show, I'm sorry. Full Wolverine 3994 responds further, or it's the right time to be putting on a show because she just got out of the hospital and needs something to take her mind off it. Like, you guys are actively sabotaging her project. Oh, it might fail because you might become depressed again, so, well, gotta make sure it does. It's not costing you a dime to shut the fuck up and mind your own business, by the way. Do you think that actively sabotaging the thing that's making her happy might not be a good idea? On top of that, she now actually has the support from people who are in the industry and creatives who can help her better fine-tune her craft. I'm pretty sure the drag queen has a better idea of what they do or do not want to be a part of than you guys do. Just, that's just my opinion though. At this point, Bethany's right. You guys can either be supportive and just be there for her, or walk away and leave her alone. From r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for throwing my friend under the bus and never telling her about it? I, 18 female, have been friends with Olivia, 18 female, and Charlotte, 18 female, since the start of high school. Background info. I was hanging out with Olivia alone when I accidentally let slip that Charlotte and I worried she progressed pretty quickly when dating for the first time. Olivia suddenly got really serious and asked who said that. She then specifically asked if Charlotte said it. I panicked and said it was Charlotte and made it sound like she was the only one who thought that. Olivia got extremely angry and went on a rant about how disrespectful it was and how she was moving at a normal pace. After that, she completely cut Charlotte off and hasn't spoken to her since. What makes it worse is that Olivia told me to tell Charlotte she's just really busy with work in school and doesn't have time to hang out. That was 8 months ago. Charlotte still thinks Olivia is just busy and keeps saying she hopes things will go back to normal when summer comes. Meanwhile, I still hang out with Olivia regularly. I've tried to convince her to talk to Charlotte again, but she's completely set in not being friends anymore. Now I really feel guilty because Charlotte still doesn't know the real reason Olivia stopped talking to her. So am I the asshole for 1, blaming Charlotte in the moment instead of admitting I also shared the thought, and 2, keeping the truth from Charlotte for the last 8 months and letting her think Olivia is just busy? Extra, the reason Olivia had such a strong reaction was that Charlotte had been on thin ice from something she did a few months earlier. So this must have been the last straw. Sorry for the confusion. I mean, hey, you said it yourself, you threw her under the bus. That makes you the asshole just by default. It's a facto. Reading this made me realize I'm very happy that I'm an adult now and not dealing with high school drama. Granted, it could definitely be argued that the high school drama followed me until I was 24, 25, and even the high school drama, for some goddamn reason, became legal drama. Yay. But hey, that's an entirely different topic. God damn. But I am very happy to have situations like this completely scrubbed from my life. Like, since everything wrapped up, my life has pretty much been drama-free. It's actually pretty incredible. Only thing I gotta stress about now is if I make a bad take and my audience wants to remove my head with an aluminum bed, which, honestly, is a much favorable outcome than previous things I had to deal with. So hey, I'll take it. And of course, I'm just being a bit goofy there. If I do have a bad take, I do try my best to actually own up to it and pin a comment or try to address it at some point or another to make sure that people understand that, yeah, I made a bit of a fuck up here and I'm trying to do better. But enough about me, back to whatever this was here. Yeah, you threw your friend under the bus and you completely washed your hands of the situation, and I'm glad you feel guilty about it, but guilt does not absolve you of the fact that you still wronged Charlotte. Unfortunately, I don't know what advice to give you because I'm not an expert in teenage girl drama. I feel like it'd be really weird if I was. I have seen Mean Girls, but I don't think that gives me any kind of qualification to, interject here. Or more of give good advice. Or at least good advice that you'd find favorable. Because my advice would just be to be honest about Charlotte and Olivia, which is going to pretty much be social soup for you, so that sucks. But you let this go on for 8 months, so I don't know what to tell ya. Posted to Am I the Asshole with an H. Am I the asshole for causing my daughter to lose out on a major opportunity? My daughter, 14 female, whom we'll call Samantha, recently qualified for a prestigious debate competition in Europe. She is smart, responsible, and very well behaved. She also has type 1 diabetes, which she has managed mostly independently for many years, using an insulin pump. Her school was very excited for her to attend, emphasizing how it would help her in terms of college applications. They also said they are ready to accommodate her needs. I asked her endocrinologist, who said there was no harm in her going. I was worried about Samantha being so far from home without me, given her condition, especially since I lost her father in an accident not long ago. I cannot go through this again. After talking it over with my older son, 21 male, we decided she shouldn't go. The competition is happening now and she's extremely upset. She says I'm ruining her future and destroying her life. I feel guilty, but I honestly thought I was doing the right thing as a parent. Am I the asshole for prioritizing her safety over this opportunity? Comment from user No Scabs in Union. You say you thought you were doing the right thing as a parent, but have articulated no reasonable justification for scuttling her opportunity. Quite the contrary. You outlined many reasons why it was safe for her to go, and ways attending would benefit her future prospects. The only reason you give for holding her back is your own anxiety. I can't go through this again. It was about you. That's it. You were unable to get your own shit sorted so your child could spread her wings and soar. It's a damn shame. You're the asshole, and I hope you confront the trauma you sustained from the loss of your spouse. Also, it's inappropriate to consult your son about parenting decisions. He is not your lost husband. Stop doing that immediately. See, you have both her, the school, the doctor, and she's also traveling to Europe, a place where insulin averages between $7 to $12 per vial, and can be well over $100 in the US, sometimes upwards to $400. Additionally, if you really want to get into the weeds of it here, flying is one of the safest forms of travel. You're more likely to get maimed or injured driving to the airport than you are flying to the next airport. So it really does boil down to you squashed one of your daughter's opportunities because of your own anxieties that you allowed your son, who you're treating as a stand-in for your husband, to validate. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Posted r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my mom I don't want to hear anything about her friend having cancer? So, my mom this year had a lot of health scares and even a cancer scare. The good news was my mom didn't have cancer. Anyways, one of her friends, my mom's age, had stage 4 cancer, and her friend also has a daughter my age. My mom decided to talk about it with me. The more my mom talked, the more upset I felt, especially when she said how her friend's daughter was so depressed and blah 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 details on her stage 4 cancer. I told my mom I don't want to hear it anymore, but my mom responded, but I'm just explaining about I'm lucky and how they're not. My mom is acting like an asshole for not acknowledging we're the lucky ones, unlike her friend. Ugh. It's that final line that sells it, because it's fine to be like, hey mom, I understand that this is a bit scary because you had a cancer scare and this is one of your friends who's your age and she has a daughter that's my age, and I can see why this would definitely be something scary, but I am not in the headspace to talk about this right now. Can we please talk about something else? That is a 100% valid response to have, but to be like, Mom, we're lucky, they're not. When her friend is actively dying from stage 4 cancer, like what the fuck? Cross-posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for lashing out on a Roma beggar? I, 27 male, was late for work, but as usual had to stop by and bring my workmates some soda. On my way in, a Roma beggar in front asked me for some change. I said I don't have any and went in. I bought 2 large bottles of Coke, €5, had 20s, 50s, and a €100 bill in my wallet. But I had some change in my pocket. €6.50, gave the cashier €5 in coins, and took off. Just as I stepped outside, the same guy started yelling at me how he saw me pay with change and put the rest back in my pocket. I was in no mood for sugarcoating it, so I said, yeah, so what? Go find a job and be useful to society, you s***. He just stopped talking and looked at the ground. He was much smaller than me, so I don't think he was up for a brawl or a confrontation. I left believing I gave him a valuable lesson, since he was a prime-age adult, 25 or so years, with no evident condition that would prevent him from working. When I told my sister, she judged me and told me I'm a racist. Even so, I believe I did the right thing, albeit harshly. Edit, seeing the comments here made me realize that even though I was not obligated to give him money, my reaction was horrible and I should be judged for it. This guy hangs around that same store every day almost. Next time when I go in, what should I do? I really want to apologize. Should I give him money plus a verbal apology? He can be mad as is his right, but I just want to remedy the situation as much as possible. Tips would be appreciated. Honestly, dude, I have no idea how to remedy your situation, but it is a fucking wild thing to be like, Yeah, I called him a slur and felt pretty good about it because I believed I did the right thing by doing that. It's a valuable lesson to remind him his place in this world. That's what you come across as, dude. It's actually also a bit of a shame because of how much flack the Romani people get. Oftentimes the history of them is just swept under the rug, like World War II. Nearly 500,000 Romani people were just disappeared. It's oftentimes referenced as being the forgotten Holocaust. Definitely a damn tragedy. Cross posted from r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for spying on mother-in-law's husband and telling her what he said? My husband and I are staying with his mom and her husband because we're between places. I'm not the biggest fan of her husband though. He has always been decent enough towards us. The other day I was at the house while my husband was working and mother-in-law was out. Mother-in-law's husband was fighting with his sister. Basically, she's getting married for the 4th time and he doesn't want to go because he doesn't approve. He made a snarky comment about, he'll go to the next one. She said he shouldn't talk because he's divorced as well. He replied, a second marriage is normal, a 4th marriage is not. Then he said his first marriage didn't count because he was just using Diana, the first wife, because he needed her dad's money to fund his career. He said the only person he ever loved was Tessa, mother-in-law. So really the first divorce was inevitable. He then laughed and said, paid well though. I was disgusted. I just got suck an ick. That's what it says. That's what it says. I promise. And personally, I would want to know if I was with that sort of man. So when mother-in-law came home, I told her what he said. She kinda gave me a weird look and said she didn't get what the problem was because he said he loved her. I told her I just thought she should know what sort of man he was. And she said she knew everything and it's weird I'd assume he hadn't told her himself. It was just a weird convo and she acted like I was overreacting. Later that day, he walked past me and muttered something about me having the audacity to live in his house and spy on him and try to cause drama. Honestly, I was just looking out for her because he clearly isn't a good man. Sadly the Worst has collected some of OP's comments. For those of you unfamiliar, Sadly the Worst is a frequent contributor on r/AmITheDevil, and they even watch the channel, so sometimes you'll see them sneaking around in the comments. I see you. Copied verbatim from OP's comments. You're the asshole. The way he said that sounded so candid, like it was obvious/known to others. Your mother-in-law is probably aware of how much he got in the divorce. Do you even know when/how long they were married? OP responds, they were married a decade, give and take, and had 3 kids. One talks to him and not her mom, and the other 2 are no contact with him. What I'd really like to know is, are all these You're the Assholes going to have any effect on your actions from this point forward? As long as you don't see actual abuse occurring, seems to me you should show gratitude for having a place to stay, and stay out of other people's drama. Also, did you run it by your husband before you opened this particular can of worms? Worm. Yes, I understand I shouldn't have gotten involved. I would personally want to know, and assume she didn't know because I don't know why she would have married him if she did. But it's a good lesson that not everyone is the same. Mother-in-law has been generous, but we aren't very close, and I shouldn't have assumed she would feel the same way. I didn't run it by my husband, but he really doesn't care. He finds his stepdad annoying. No one asked about the kids, but the length of the first marriage. Clearly the first marriage wasn't a love match, and they both know it, or else I'd think they'd still be married, right? You're the asshole. Not your circus, not your monkeys. Hope he responds, I wouldn't assume they both knew it. It only takes one person to leave. He's so annoying that you're living in his house on his dime. You guys are a riot. Do you have a job? What are you doing to leave there since you dislike him so much? You really shouldn't punish yourself by staying there for free. Opie responds, yes, we both work and are saving to move out. My husband might not like him, but he loves his mom. And it is her house too. It takes 2 people to divorce or it becomes a contested divorce taking years. Your mother-in-law lays in bed with this man and has known him longer than you've been around. Count your blessings she didn't kick you out for getting into her personal business. Don't you have anything better to do than snoop and gossip on someone helping you out? Opie responds, I'd assume most people wouldn't contest a divorce if the other person said they didn't love them. They would if their father paid a lot of money to help open a business that they profit from as well. Do you know how marriages work? Divorces work? Splitting assets? Are you 12? Is this made up because you're bored? Why would she contest the divorce versus getting a good lawyer and trying to get her share, which I'm sure she did because she got the kids full-time in the house? Why would she want to stay married to him? I'm not answering easy questions all night. It's much more profitable to stay married in her situation instead of a one-time payout. Come on. Plus, you said one kid doesn't see her, and she could have owned the house before him, making it where he had no claim to it anyways. See how it works, where I don't stick my nose in anyone else's business so I don't have all the answers, which you should have done? Their daughter is a grown woman who doesn't talk to her. She would have been like 7 at the time, and she would have had no choice. She can't force him to stay married to her, but she can fight for child support, alimony, etc. This might just be the autism here, but I feel like I'm missing something. We've had posts in the past where we've had, someone state something along the lines of like, yeah, I was just dating her for the money, obviously. And OP's like, I don't know if I should say anything. And the comments are just tearing them apart of like, of course you should say something. You're the asshole if you don't say something. I would want to know if I was in this position. But then like OP talks to the mother-in-law about, hey, I heard this, being said here. What's going on? I would want to know this information. Suddenly it's, you could tell because of the way he was candidly speaking that obviously this was well-known information and you're just tattling and eavesdropping. I don't know, it's kind of weird seeing the entirety of Reddit being like, yeah, it's totally fine that he was using another woman for their money to fund the career. And you're in the wrong here for finding that upsetting and wanting to make sure that mother-in-law was aware of this. I also feel like there being 2 kids that are no contact with him is also another red flag, personally. Might have something to do with him using their mother for money. I don't know, but considering that every comment is you're the asshole, I'm very clearly missing some nuance here. So please, enlighten me. Oh boy, it's the outro! Don't forget Gamer Supps, use code OZ at checkout. They've got lots of fun stuff like caffeine-free caffeine, sleep aid stuff. They got good flavors, highly recommend. Their shirts are comfy, their sweatpants are comfy. They got good materials, what can I say? Right now I'm actually working on recording a bunch of new background footage in Minecraft, so very excited for those to debut soon, hopefully. Dealing with some weird compression issues, so that's been fun. Thankfully I solved it by just cranking the bitrate up to an absurd amount. Pretty sure it's on par with what Blu-ray technically would be, but, that's not going to matter once I have to render and compress it for YouTube. But I would rather at least the master copies be, really nice and clean than essentially, further compressing an already compressed piece of footage. Hopefully you guys like them.